There we go. Good morning, Dave. Oh God, it always sounds like I'm at the airport with that voice. I'd like to start today by doing introductions. It'd be great if they were on the short side. But today I would like us to introduce ourselves, say where we are tuning in from, and maybe make a brief, very brief comment about something that's been on your mind related to art or the art world. Does that sound good? Instead of the same old, because some of us see each other in every meeting. And so we're gonna do that. And so I'll start. So I'm Ruth Chase and I'm in Nevada City, California. That's between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe. And the thing that's been on my mind in the art world lately has been mostly wanting to see more interesting, questioning, and controversial stuff around the pandemic. I know that'll eventually come, but that's what's been on my mind. So why doesn't somebody else jump in?
I will. My name is Heather Jones, and I am in Willits, California. And one thing about the art world for me is that as NFTs are becoming more and more popular, I'm becoming more and more concerned about the amount of energy, because it takes a ton of energy to make one NFT. So with the popularity of this, really famous artists beginning to traverse into NFTs, I'm concerned that it's going to make a lot of people interested in NFTs. And I feel like the tech realm really needs to approach the energy consumption to produce one before we start making that like a really widespread action that artists are, that's becoming very popular. So that's my.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go next. I'm Elena Exarco, and I'm tuning in from Athens, Greece. And I was just wondering, and I would like, if we have time, to talk about it. Do you think that art can influence in a way or affect not politics, but life in general, and do just shake things, turn things around in a way, or shake people, or make people think about what's going on, about all the problems, the heart problems, the pandemic, all the things that we're going through. In a better way, I mean. Yeah.
Awesome. And if we have time, I wrote down that question. Maybe we can dig into it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm Maria Teresa Barbist, and I'm in Miami. And I was thinking about a similar thing. I was watching this Global Citizen concert yesterday, and I was really impressed by how the arts in that case, it was music, right? Especially music was able to, channel so much energy and get like so much money raised or pledges done for, to end basically the three major goals were to end hunger, this affect climate change, like to kind of stop climate change, and there was a third pledge, but it was pretty incredible. I think they raised $1 billion or something like that. So I was like thinking about that, kind of similar to Eleni, like how can we, especially in Miami, with sea level rise, how can we be part of that conversation and affect change and action, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Shirley.
I can go next. I am originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, but live in Sacramento, California now. And I've been asking myself, it's related to your question, Ruth, what will be the impact of the pandemic on art practice? What I'm seeing here is far more outdoor art, murals, etc. And viewing art is limited to not going to galleries. Many of them have shut down, but viewing art online and people selling art online. And so my question is the influence of the pandemic on art practice, and will this actually be beneficial to artists or not?
Yeah, that's a good one. Boy, these are all so juicy. I love them. I didn't think they would all, yeah, awesome. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Ruth.
Should I go?
Yeah, go Dave, go.
Okay. My name is Dave Talich. I'm in Nevada City. I graduated from the Art Institute in 1987. I'm not really part of the art world, so it's an interesting question. I find myself hanging out a lot with the homeless around here, and what struck me about them is, at least the ones that I meet on my street, my neighbors, that they're what they're very creative people, but you might call artists. They make things that could be seen in galleries. And I think part of the reason that they're homeless is because of their natures, that they're very creative. And they're making things that I find more interesting than what I see in a lot of galleries and museums. And for example, this one guy, Boyd, makes, in Ruth, you've probably seen him around town. He makes these extraordinary vehicles that he pushes around that he calls rickshaws. And he loads them up with like 100 pounds of things. He paints them, he puts flags on them sometimes. I mean, they're like this incredible work of art. And it's this athletic challenge that he has. And I've never seen anybody really combine the two things, like athletics and art, in this way. And, you know, it's like he does this all on his own. He's, you know, I guess you'd call an outsider artist. All these are outsider artists. And I would really like to see their work in a gallery or something, some way of getting recognition for them. And I think, for example, Boyd's really frustrated. He's like, this is his life's work. And he's like, I haven't even gotten in the newspaper, you know, the local newspaper.
Time to write something and submit it.
Yeah, he said, and I'm not going to do a submitted to the union piece.
Yeah, God, I don't blame him. He's got a standard as well. That's
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You know, they're very serious about what they do. It's their life's work. And I don't think that people just, you know, because they're homeless, then they're not taken seriously because they're not in the art world. They don't have degrees or, you know, anything that,
right.
You know,
I would love to see some pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could show you a picture. Maybe
You could send it to me and I can send it to the group.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I have a couple pictures. They're really
Great.
cool.
I would love to.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dave. God, this is, I mean, already like each person's just, this is what's so great about these meetups is just, even if this was it, there's just gets the creative juices flowing and ways to expand the mind.
Just
3
one
more
sorry,
left. Yeah.
Ruth, just a quick for Dave, if you wanted to write something ever about this artist or the other outsider artists in your region, we could put it in our newsletter as well.
Yeah.
So Annie Reiniger always looks for submissions. So if you wanna or if you know someone who would write something.
That
Just a
would be
quick.
What
wonderful.
newsletter is that?
You know what? I'm going to move on and put stuff in the chat if that's okay, because I want to make sure we have enough time for Heather, and then we can bring this back around at the end of the meeting if that's okay. So just go ahead and chat away. We have 3 more: introduction and a comment about what's on your mind related to art or the art world.
I can go.
Hey, Eve.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to see everybody. Yeah, I'm Eve Werner. I'm tuning in from Chico, California, where I live. It's about a couple hours north of Sacramento. And what's been on my mind is how I'm involved in an exhibit right now where a good deal of the art is non-permanent art. And I'm wondering whether the confluence of all the different things that we've been facing are creeping into our brains and making us less reliant or less believing in permanence.
In what? Say that last bit again.
Permanence.
Nice. Nice. 2 more. Lior and Gail's iPad.
Yeah, I can go. I'm Lior. I'm from San Francisco. I'm talking to you from San Francisco. I think I'm not really part of the art world as well. One thing I've been thinking about is actually when I was at SFAI, and I think also when I kind of looked at the Reimagine committee videos, and also actually when I go to museums and I do see, you know, from what I do see in museums is that there's it seems like the in terms of art practice, the digital era hasn't really affected the art world. I mean, there's I think the traditional you know, the traditional art forms are still solid and dominating, and I don't really see you know, I don't see like using code and using digital devices like as a solid kind of an way of art form. And I don't know if beyond SFAI schools are preparing this generation of artists to use that as, but I definitely, it wasn't present at SFAI when I was there, and it didn't seem like the Reimagine committee is addressing that. So that's
Awesome. I know I could see a conversation going there between Lior and Heather, but we're going to move on to the last introduction, but not the least. Would Gail's iPad like to introduce himself? Oh, I can't hear you, love. There we
How's that?
go. Good morning.
Hello, my name's Charles Green. I live in Grass Valley, 12 miles from Nevada City, halfway between Sacramento and Tahoe. This is my wife's iPad, so I'm in the witness protection program, so I kind of have to use this nom de plume. I sit kind of on a hilltop, and my main concern, art-wise, whatever, is the fires. And I can see paranoia creeping into my imagery with a lot of yellow, a lot of red or whatever, but it's a constant that goes on around here. You know, I'm watching all the fires. So that's my statement. Fires, art, paranoia. So that's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. And God, so much juicy content, huh, Maria? Each one of these could be a whole, I might even go back on them and write them down. But I want to move on because today we're doing some feedback. And Heather, I do want to let you know and everybody else know that Adrian Card, who hosts this meetup with me, had a water emergency flooding into his house. He literally had to jump off. And so he's going to send you an email and give you some feedback. But so guide me. Should we watch your video first? I have a screen share here. This is my question to you. Should we watch your video first, and or what kind of feedback would you like today? If you could be specific, that would be great.
Yeah. So this is kind of where I have made it to currently in my art practice. There's a form called spin painting. So there's two forms that I'm actively pursuing. One is called spin painting or pendulum painting. The other one is called pour painting. And I'm trying to bring the two together. So in my process, I have to understand both techniques in order to get to the final outcome. So, and the other thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to get into recording and creating little videos about the process. Very inspired by Bob Ross, very inspired by Alfred Hitchcock. So I want to, kind of try to bring that type of energy to the table as well. But I'm still very, very in the very
just starting out, and so
foundations of it. Yeah, it's very, very, very rudimentary. So I think the two things that I would love feedback on is how I can make my videos better.
Okay.
And also any tips that that you would have regarding aesthetics or challenging me to push certain ideas further, because right now I get really hyper focused on my process. So it would just be really nice to just kind of hear other artists' minds and any feedback about just as overall aesthetics or anything in that realm, but video and then aesthetics.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that. So should we are we watching one or two videos? What's happening here?
So they're kind of long, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to watch them. One is 7 minutes, and that's one thing that I'm noticing that I need to knock it down quite a bit on the timing. Like as I'm editing, now that I'm rewatching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like way too long for that clip. So I don't know if y'all have not seen it. If you go to my website,
This website, the one that I gave a link to everybody.
Yes. Where it says more, there's my portfolio, and then you can actually see the spin painting. But the video, I don't know, or you can just like fast forward through the video, maybe like see the beginning, and then see my portfolio is kind of all over the place too. So that's just kind of me as an artist. So maybe we should go back to the video.
Would that be this one right here?
Well, they're both they both go in tandem together. The first one was stretching a canvas, and the second one is actually the spin painting. So perhaps we do the spin painting one. Or you can just like literally just start it and then just kind of like allow 20 seconds to happen and then click 3 minutes down the line, allow 20 seconds to happen, click 3 minutes down the line.
Exactly. That sounds great. So what I'm going to suggest is that if you have something to say while the video's playing, please feel free to put stuff in the chat. I can always make sure I'll send a copy of it to Heather. And then we'll talk about it on the other end as well. So I don't know, sometimes I prefer a chat comment when I'm watching, and sometimes I have something I have to say and it has to be recorded. So let's watch this. And Heather, do feel free to jump in if you feel like you just want to instruct me. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank you.
So I'll just skip through it a bit.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of Heather's Studio Practice for Art and Creative Expression. This episode is all about spin painting. It's a super fun technique that anybody can do. And so I want to share it with you so that you can create with your friends and your family. And it doesn't require years of learning training your eye to draw what you see. It's a fun community building project that creates great results. So episode 2, I went and got a paint bucket and I separated it. You can separate it in as many reservoirs as you want. I chose 2 reservoirs. I'm only using one of the reservoirs. My theory behind that is just creating a more narrow space so that when I spin, I don't have to use a ton of paint. That being said, when I create my reservoirs and when I get my paint, I like to use oops paint, which is found in the anywhere in the paint department of the hardware store. You can just ask the associate, and they'll be able to direct you to the oops paint. I also like to use samples. They're very inexpensive. It's a great way to have
I'm going to skip
a
forward.
multitude of colors.
Oh. I think I skipped too far.
I think you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode about spin painting. As you can see, it's super easy. It just really requires time. With every spin, I give the paint time to dry, be it 6 hours, be it 24 hours. It's important that the paint dry so that when multiple lines come in contact with each other, it doesn't break that barrier, and then I start getting drips in areas that I don't want. But if that's something that you want to do, go for it. You might get a happy accident out of it. So that's pretty much it. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. www.heatherjonesartdesign.com. And please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you next episode. So thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Yay.
Thanks.
It's always fun to be in the hot seat, huh, Heather?
Oh, yeah.
But it's so
Temperature rose a little
important
bit.
to really understanding our work and how other people are
Mhm.
seeing it. So
Yeah.
the questions that you had asked is how you could make the videos better, and maybe some ideas that people or responses that people had to the aesthetics or how it looked. I have a long list because I've done an instructional video. So I have some very specific things to say, but I don't really want to start out because my list is too long and I want somebody else to shorten it. Go for it, Shirley.
I have just a
Jump
couple very brief comments. One is with the second, I did watch them this morning, particularly the second one, and just scanned through the first one. With the second video, at the end, I wanted to see images of other examples of spin paintings, and
Okay.
that would have been helpful to me. And I don't know if they would be at the end or interspersed, but I wanted to see others. And the other thing I was thinking about in terms of choice of color is how important the ground is in relationship to the paint that's applied with the spin painting, even more so than more typical non-spin acrylic painting, because it's very thin lines. And, you know, I have to say, I love this spin painting. I should have said that first. I think you're very adept at applying the paint. I just marveled at your process and the result. But the one thing, going back to my comment about the importance of the ground and the importance of the paint that's applied, I almost wondered what one of these would look like if it was not really bare canvas, but canvas with clear gesso on it, so that the canvas is lighter, more clear, and then the paint would contrast with the canvas. Those are my comments.
I love that idea. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't even think about that.
Thank you.
There you go.
Just jump on in.
Okay. Let's see, I had two thoughts. One kind of following up from Shirley's comment about the relationship between your choice of colors, essentially. In the video, you say it's like simple and anyone can do it, and it's like you know, your friends, your family, but your example is really sophisticated in like the choice of colors, and the completed result is kind of astounding, the way you get this like beautiful depth that happens. And you know, and like I can imagine someone going, hey, this is fun, I'm gonna do it too, and then they're just like like choose all these crazy colors that, and it just doesn't work, you know, like you know, I noticed you picked a lot of greens, and then that nice gray ground. Like maybe talk about your color choice process. I mean, maybe it's really intuitive and you didn't think about it, you just grabbed a bunch of things because you're an artist, and you know you don't have to. But I think if you're doing an instructional video, you might want to give some tips to people who are not artists or not very sophisticated with color. And then the other comment is, I really like the music. That's like really went well with the swirling, and I like that kind of music. But when I watched it this morning too, and I kept thinking, like, how did you do, what's like, I just didn't know. Well, okay, maybe let me back up a little bit. what I would notice, you had all the talking in one section in front of a canvas, which visually, like maybe for a short time that's okay, but like it's not that exciting.
Okay.
What I was thinking is that you would correspond what you were talking about with what you're actually doing. Like if you're talking about choosing paint in a paint store, like actually have the camera in the paint store going, picking up cans and going, this is the good stuff. This is not the good stuff. See this label right here where it says da da da, that's what you want to be looking for. And then like when you're doing your spin painting, to actually talk while you're doing it and say, okay, now I'm putting the canvas down here. Notice how I have to put the plastic up the walls, otherwise you'll do this. And then like I'm taking this tool and putting a hole in the paint bucket here, or like I'm dividing, you said you're like making sections or divisions or something, I can't remember what you said, but like actually do it. See here, I'm putting like cardboard in, I don't know what you did, I don't know how the paint, where the paint hole is and how it's coming out, like where did you tie that string, how long does it have to be, I mean, all that stuff, just talk the viewer through everything.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you. No, that's
I think it would be visually interesting too, like, because it's all this cool stuff and you have a good way of explaining it. Just do it all at the same time instead of doing talking and then yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One question, if you can give like a little bit of context, what's H-Space and who's actually the audience that's gonna get to, or how are you going to promote those videos? Who are you aiming to those videos to?
That's a really good question. Currently, I'm just in the process of it, and I haven't really. That part hasn't even fruited into existence yet. I am just right now in the creating content portion of it, and honestly, I'm terrible with marketing, so I don't even know how to do that. So, and that's like, I feel like that's like a huge separation I've always had, is how do I put myself out there,
Right.
And then people actually go, because I can like hand out handmade cards till my fingers fall off, but that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's actually going to go onto the site and look at it.
Yeah.
So how do I market it? Yeah.
But in your mind, it's like anyone you could inspire to be an artist or to make art. That this is the people you'd like to get to.
Yeah, just people who want community building projects to make art together. I'm very much a bring people together type of person. So I like to do that around art, and people who are interested in creating art and also creating art in a group so that they can laugh and have fun while they're creating the art.
Nice.
Great, thank you. No, that sounds great.
I was very surprised with the content of the video, because the cover of the video shows you on a mountain, right, with the flag. So I was kind of like expecting the video to be you're standing on a mountain and the flag is flying in a sense. And by the way, that photograph is incredible, and I really want to see the video. So the cover is kind of like not quite like I'm really intrigued by the cover, but the cover is not quite what the content is. So I would maybe think about that. And then also I would probably, since I'm a podcast person, record your voice with a separate microphone, like a lavalier microphone. Or even if, like Dave said, the sound doesn't go with the camera, a little Zoom recorder, or, some kind of like, you can get a lavalier mic that goes into an iPhone, but just a microphone, so that the sound of the voice is better. And also, I think what Lior said was really good. If it's meant to be for the community the question is also if you want to have more people in the video, because right now it looks like a very solitary activity. It doesn't look like a community activity. I would also think if you wanted it to be for the community, I would probably think of it, you know, can you do it outside? Can you do it in the grass, or you know, build something where you can, but I'm really interested also, like, if you can talk about the cover image, and if you have a video for that too, I would really like to see it.
What I would like to say is that, first of all, yes, I love the cover, but I watched your videos before, just some time ago when Ruth sent the videos to everybody. So what I thought I didn't really know that you wanted to promote this community thing, and I loved it as an art piece, like a video that explains this. And I love that you said about Bob Ross and all these,
Right.
and I would see it like as a piece, maybe shorter, as an art piece, like you talking and saying this and explaining maybe for us things that they're, you know, like, oh yeah, you figure it out, you know, that's how it goes. You spin, but I saw it as a piece, as an art piece, not as a
performance piece.
Right, not as a piece that you wanted to promote this for real, you know, and get it out for community and stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
I liked it.
Okay, but
only, which is true, there are some places really long, you know, you can cut out some stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else before I jump in? Okay. I was going to say this topic of creating an instructional video for anybody who is an artist, I tackled it, and it was so overwhelming and intimidating that I would just say that as you're listening to all this really wonderful feedback, it's really important to get it right. And I think it's really fair to say that just even trying to tackle this process, it can be extremely overwhelming. And so if one feels that way in creating an instructional video, it's pretty appropriate for the task. I akin it to trying to write a book on how to do something, and then you're going to put it in video, right? So what I loved is the music. I loved the color of the shirt. I would suggest going to one of these sites. Again, you're an artist, so like your take is completely valid. And so I'm just going to spew out things that I'm thinking. And obviously any critique is about what's your information, separate from like, I'm not doing that. But I went to Skillshare, and you can go to Skillshare and they will teach you how to do it. Okay. Everything you need to make a video is on there. You just don't have to use the site. You can use the site, and if the site actually, if people go to your video, you make, like every once in a while, I get a couple of dollars thrown my way. It's possible to make a whole lot more but if you look at the videos that are successful, again, you can be totally overwhelmed by the quality of them. But when it comes to like the microphone and using your cell phone and setting things up, there's a lot of structure there. So what I learned from doing that is that make each video 2 to 5 minutes and break up every single topic. So one is an introduction to who you are, where you came from, and what you're going to teach. The next one might be, these are the materials you need. The next one. So they're also broken up into small little chunks. And I loved what Dave said, like going to the place to get the, the stuff. Yeah. then you can go into how to set up your space. Then you could go into, you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing you could do is create a PDF and a link that can be downloaded. So sometimes those support materials make people feel like it's this whole kit thing, and you're like, okay, everything I need is here.
Okay.
The only thing I would say, I really loved the colors, what everybody else said, from a set design thing, I would step away from the canvas. I felt like you were too, a lot of times people are like right up against the background. That's just the tiniest little comment. I loved the music. It just shows how important music can be to making a video. I mean, when that video with the colors and the music, you were like, wow, I'm in like I don't know, an old time era. I love the process. I feel like you have something so incredibly, you have, no pun intended, a spin on something that is so, something we've all seen, but then something we've never seen. So I think that it's really, really valuable. Yeah, and that is pretty much it. You look great on camera. I mean, I would want to learn from you,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
And I can send you a link to my instructional video. Do not do what I did, because you would probably kill yourself. I don't want you to feel any kind of stress like that. I took it too far, and then I never wanted to do another one because it was just so much work. But mine's completely different than yours. I think
I would love to see a link. Thank you.
Yeah, but just know that like you did all this work to get so far, and you've got all this feedback. So whatever you take that's yours, it's just a little bit of a hill to climb to do it, because we're visual artists and we may not really be video production artists, and you're trying to like apply that skill to something that you're already doing. So that's my list. Jump on in. Anybody else?
I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to mention it. You said something very, very important at the end, which is that some of the paint applications were spaced by 2 hours, some by 24 hours. And I wondered if, I love the campiness of this, references to Alfred Hitchcock, also references, I thought, to silent movies with music playing during silent movies. Thinking about the campiness, I wondered if there could be a clock with a hand that moves that shows how much time there is between each paint application.
I love that.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Another thing is, and it kind of touches what Dave said and others, I think there's the kind of crafty and more kind of practical aspect of, creating the piece. And in a way, the two videos are different. The first one is really just, it's about how to prepare the canvas, and, and the other one is about making an art piece. And I think there are all the technical aspects that we talk about, but well, first, I will say that I really enjoyed it. I think when you started, like when things, you started to spin, I was kind of enchanted. It was kind of documenting this magical process. And I was curious to hear more about, I mean, you kind of understand the, the technical aspect, but, how did you come up with it? And what you're basically letting physics kind of, make a painting for you. And it's really interesting to, for me, it would be very inspiring to know how did you come up with it? What it means for you? How can I come up with, like, think about, smart, art pieces in the same way?
Thank you. Absolutely. I absolutely should bring in like what inspired me to even go down this rabbit hole.
Okay.
Thank you.
As far as marketing as well, I don't know. I mean, a instructional video is such a great way to connect the public with who you are as an artist, or like many of us, we have to teach. I mean, teaching is the way that we support ourselves. So one thing I did was I got my class, which I put it online. I'm going to share the Skillshare link where my class is on Skillshare. But what I did is I created a class on Facebook, and then I was there present. I think I used Zoom with it.
Yeah.
And we walked through, and I kind of, the other way is you could offer the first one free, or the first couple of free. And then these sites where you basically put your video on, and as many people click on it is how you make money.
Yeah.
I didn't make very much money, but that's not to say that other people wouldn't.
Yeah. And right now it's not about money. It's not, I'm a teacher too. So it's more about just getting the art out there. But making money is always great.
Yeah.
Always.
I'll just say that.
So anything else? I know before we leave, I would love to hear from Maria just a bit about what's happening at SFAI. But before we do that, was there anything else? And actually, Heather, if you want to put your email in the chat, even though it was with our email, and your website, that would be great. And if anybody has anything else that they want to say, at least it's right there handy.
Yeah.
So I'll share this with you, Heather. This was how I promoted my classes online. You don't have to look at it now, but it's there. And then I have an online class. I can't remember what the password was, but I'll just put this here and we can talk about it later. All right. So are we good?
Yes. Thank you so much. I feel like this next video, because I've just moved to Willits. I've just created my little art studio in my garage. So everything that everybody said I know that this next video is going to be just so much better, because that's what it's all about, is always better. So thank you so much, everybody, for your feedback.
Wonderful.
Thanks for jumping in and letting
Thank
us work with you on your piece. And if anybody here wants to or knows of anybody, an alumni, we are looking for our next critique. All right, with that, I have my family making me breakfast, and I have been instructed that I have to get off of my Zoom at 11:30 or
else.
Yeah, I'll be eating my food in another way. So Maria, what's going on at SFAI these days?
So SFAI has been very busy with getting all these brand new students oriented and started in their classes. So there are 60 new students, and
Wow.
if you can imagine that the staff is very limited. They have a very small staff, and they went basically from only a handful of students that were there over the summer to like 60 students now in the fall. Like, it was a big shift for them, to kind of like go back to like a bigger class. And so they were excited that they got the 60 students. 50 were like the plan. So they exceeded the plan, but so now it's going to be the harder job, is going to get more students in for summer semester or for the spring semester, and then even more like build it up again to around 350 students in a 2 or 3 years. So it's a big challenge for them, especially because the staff is so small. The other big challenge is unfortunately still they are looking for a very large loan to keep them afloat over the next couple of years. And we are talking, I think I would say probably $10 million that is going to be taken out on the Fort Mason, because Fort Mason is like, they have the lease for Fort Mason, I think for 100 years, and it's worth a lot. They got a very low lease, and so they can lease it themselves much higher than they are paying for it. So that's going to be probably the collateral. I don't know all the details, but there is still like this search going on for a loan that is not too, has the best conditions. So they have been looking for a while now. And Lonnie Graham, the new president, is really, I think, waiting for that to happen before he wants to kind of like do another town hall. He really wants some good news, basically. So not out of the water, no, or not out of, how do you say that? Not
out of the woods.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the really positive, I think, first impulse was like student orientation, having a new class, having people on campus again. The doors are open, there are exhibitions up, so you can go visit if you're in town. And I mean, that's definitely really exciting at the moment. And there is the meadow cleanup is happening October 2nd, I believe, but check on our website. Elizabeth Travels Light, one of the adjunct faculty, is organizing that. So they are fixing up the meadow. So there are some more activities that, are happening on campus. So it's kind of like alive again. So yeah.
What is the meadow? What does the meadow mean?
The backyard, what did you call it at the time?
The meadow.
Where the tree, like when you're on the courtyard and you would jump into the tree like someone did, that's the meadow.
You mean the one bit of like landscaping that the property has?
Yeah. The greenery. Yeah. So they're fixing that up again.
I don't think it was green when I went there, but yes.
Oh yeah. No, they have put up a garden and all kinds of herbs, and they have been taking care of the land.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
And we had some call to artists, but I think they've all passed, right?
There's going to be another one. So the one that just passed was High Beams, which is going to be in LA, which is kind of an in-person event, so a little bit far for all of you probably. But what's coming up is, and it's not out yet, we are very excited to have a video exhibition curated by Tony Labat at Untitled Art Fair in Miami. And Tony selected 3 artists. It's kind of the concept of 3 turns, the last video exhibition that we did on the tower, but it's going to be on a billboard truck, in front of the fair. It's going to be part of the fair and promoted by this Untitled Art Fair. It's one of the bigger fairs. It's not Art Basel, but it's during Art Basel in Miami. And so we're going to send out the open call as soon as possible, probably next week. So watch out for that. That's going to be video works. And it's going to deal with water. So Adrian should submit something. Yeah.
That's right. I'll tell him to make sure he's getting photos.
Oh,
Yeah, you should do some video.
Yeah, so in the emails that I've been sending out, there's all kinds of links in there. So to the alumni, to the call to artists, to the ways to stay in touch. So all of that. And Heather, I don't know if you're on social media or not, but if you have those links, I don't think I have them on our email. I'll make sure that they're at the bottom of the email. Website or social media links, whatever you have. With that, I guess this is the end of our meeting, and I'm about to go have a family brunch.
Very nice.
I'm going to have dinner.
Yeah, that's right. So thank you everyone for coming, and we're on the lookout for somebody else to voice our opinions about or to have a critique. And God, I feel like I got so much from today. I just, the beginning, the talk with Heather is just really, really great. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks for organizing it, Ruth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.